everyone. It is Tuesday night, May 23rd. Welcome to essentially the Sports Note After Dark. I had if you caught our Wise Guys show on Saturday with our special guest Patrick McGuire from the Cleveland Sports Report. Um, Towards the end of the episode, after Patrick had already left, I actually indicated that I had a couple of things in the tank here. Um, One was going to deal with they each were going to deal with um, the number one picks in the upcoming NBA and NHL drafts, especially with the lotteries, with the fact that they're mirror images of each other. But then something else came out on Sunday when I was actually getting ready to start brainstorming for what to actually say in either of those blogs, and it occurred on the PGA Tour. Ironically enough, where we had the final round of the PGA Championship, the year's second major, um, and after shooting a 72 on in Thursday's opening round, Brooks Koepka proceeded to shoot 66, 66, 67 en route to a two-shot victory over Victor Hovland and Scotty Scheffler. And this actually now for Brooks Koepka is his fifth major and it's his third PGA championship. Um, Problem is Brooks Koepka was one of the high profile golfers that defected and left the PGA Tour to join up with Live Golf. Um, for those of you who don't know, and I'm not pulling any punches here, with my personal feelings, the Live Golf Tour is the Saudi Public Investment Fund group that um, start is promoting fewer events, more relaxed rules, less work, um, all at the expense of basically selling your conscience for money without you know basic human rights. As we all know, the this Saudi group is has a history of controversy and violations against human rights. Um, so the fact that Kepka won his fifth major, um, won $3.1 million for his first place, uh, for his first place seating, essentially, um, his first place purse, I should say. The fact that in the first week of April he won $20 million in the Live Golf Orlando Invitational shows you exactly what I personally think of that entire tour. The Live Golf tournament is more of a team aspect than the PGA Tour. There's, I want to say, like 48 or 50 players signed. They compete in teams, but there's also an individual mark where the teams earn $20 million per tournament, and the individual I could have this backwards, but I do know that the overall winner wins $20 million, and then there's also a very large purse um, for the team competition, and it was Kepka's first win outright. I want to say in a couple of years after he had uh, a lower body injury that was documented in the Netflix series Full Swing. And I want to say it was the second episode, or maybe even it was the second episode, where it the the episode chronicled Kepka trying to win the PGA Championship all the while, or one of the other majors. I want to say it was the PGA because I haven't watched the episode. I watched it about a month and a half ago. Um, and Scotty Scheffler competing at the same one, and if Scheffler would have won, he would have rose to the number one golfer in the world. So it showed Koepka back at his home in Florida, with his wife, with his then fiance, now current wife Jenna Sims, lounging by the pool with their dog, and talking with his brother, rehabbing where possible. Whereas Scheffler stayed loose with his wife. Was very committed to his faith. The entire aspect, and you notice it's Kepka who kind of sold his soul and not Scheffler here. Um, Scotty Scheffler went on to be the number one player in the world, and Kepka, this is his first major since 2019 or something of that nature. Considering Kepka now 33, also finished second at Augusta in the Masters back in August. Also again while a member of Live Golf. The other aspect of the Live Golf influence at the PGA this weekend was Bryson DeChambeau, who had a long-standing rivalry with Koepka. Um, Also a Live Golf defector, finished third. I'm sorry, finished tied for fourth at 3 under in this tournament, and DeChambeau's kind of resurrected his game, so to speak, as not the guy who bombs it out there 350, 360 yards, but also lost 30 to 40 pounds in water weight and is now using more skill than raw power. And I will say somebody from personal experience, I lost nearly 30 pounds myself from January of last year until now, and a lot of it was water weight. And my energy level has been better, my confidence has been better personally. Um, so it does change things with your entire lifestyle. So I'm going to commend DeChambeau for what he's done with his body, but again, I'm going to absolutely condemn all of these guys for the decision that they make for what they were doing. If the live golfers who left the PGA Tour and joined up would actually just say it's about the money, um, rather than the opportunity, we might be able to put some of this past us. But until they actually come out and say that, these individual players, that's never going to happen. And quite honestly, while they're being bankrolled by the Saudis, that's the Saudis are never going to allow this to happen either. Um, so congratulations to Kepka, I guess. It's also very surreal because I was a Kepka fan when he was number one in the world a few years ago. Remember, Kepka was the number one in the world for 48 weeks a couple of years back, um, riding high on top of the world. And the aspect of him holding up the Wanamaker Trophy, which had the PGA of America logo on the bottom of it, while representing Live Golf, knowing that you're probably going to see even more changes with the PGA Tour before long, and I'll come back to that here in a second. The format of Live Golf, again, it's the team event, but there's also the large prize for the individual winner. They play 54 holes instead of 72. They're allowed to wear shorts. There's it's more of a rock concert type of thing, so you might actually have like a little bit more raucous crowd. Um, you might actually have the gallery being a little bit more vocal. You've got music playing on most holes, so it's basically like a shotgun start. For the best way I can put it, it's like watching one of these made for TV exhibitions, but it's in a 54 hole format with some of the best players in the world, as opposed to three or four guys who kind of move the needle, so to speak. Um, and this is actually the other aspect that irks me is Phil Mickelson, who I was a big fan of, and even up until he won, um, at 50 years old, he's the oldest player ever to win a major when he did that last year before he defected to live. Um, Bitching and pissing up a storm over the USGA and the PGA Tour, and said he's going to continue to do so. Rory McIlroy has actually called out the live golfers, publicly in the last 8 to 12 months, kind of backed off from those statements a little bit. Rory's certainly not going to defect, but he doesn't want the aspect of every time he shows up at a tournament, somebody's going to be asking about this, especially at a major, because we got the Charles Schwab this week. So you're certainly not going to see any of these live guys on there because the PGA has deemed that these players are not eligible for PGA Tour events, which actually means they cannot earn standing for the President's Cup, and also they're not earning points for the FedEx Cup playoffs essentially. So they've been indefinitely suspended, banned, whatever you want to call it. Some of the individual majors have their own particular rules where you know Koepka being a two-time winner has had the exemption. The Masters is a little bit different. The Masters is not necessarily considered a PGA type event, but it's actually on the schedule. But as former winners, Mickelson's going to be allowed to play every year, regardless of where he's playing, unless Augusta steps in and says, "Yeah, hey, our ethics aren't the greatest, but who you're playing with, we're not even going to allow you to do that." Which, hello pot, this is kettle, you're black at this point. There was the rumor that Liv was going to throw upwards of $250 million at Tiger Woods to jump. That's not gonna happen because, quite honestly, Tiger's coming down to the end of his career with his injuries, the fact that he's not gonna play anymore the rest of this season. Um, I think he's already backed out of the U.S. Open here in a couple of weeks. Um, and really, at this particular point, what more needs to be said that this is a very, very uncomfortable position depending on which side of the fence you're standing on in regards to the PGA Tour versus Live Golf. If you're Live Golf, you're looking to break up the system. To use a wrestling analogy, it's basically the NWO at that particular point, whereas the PGA Tour established going back however many years based in tradition, the longer playing styles, naturally the payouts aren't nearly as large, um, and a lot more rules to be successful, so to speak. But it's something that you also have to figure that Live is not going to allow anybody to come play on tour, at least right now. So you're not going to see like guys going to like a qualifying school or something like that. The Live Golf Tour is only going to bring the best of the best of the best at that particular point and luring them away with money. And the irony that Kepka called out a lot of the players that were defecting to Live early, um, in the entire process, and then defected himself and now won himself a major championship, is highly laughable at that particular point. So let me know what you guys think. Where do you sit in the argument? Do you think that a lot of this could go away if the live golfers actually came out and said, "Yeah, we're doing this for the money"? What do you think happens from here? Do you think the USGA and the PGA Tour set even more sanctions to where these guys can't even play in majors anymore if they've already left? Do you see a permanent ban on them, meaning that they have to go all the way back to Q school? So let me know what you guys think, and Mike and I will be back with you on Saturday night for the roast of yours truly. So I have no idea what to look for. I'm going to be cutting video here the next couple of days, so you're going to see we're going to have some fun at my expense on Saturday night. So everybody take care, and I'll see you soon.